Welcome back to my channel. My name is Arion if you're new here. So as you can tell by the title of the video, I'm going to be talking about how to transition from being a full-time student into being a full-time employee. And it's hard, I'm not gonna lie. I'm currently going through this transition right now. Just a little bit of background about me if you don't know me. I went to Howard University for my bachelor's degree. I studied strategic, legal, and management communication with the concentration in advertising. I also minored in business administration. I recently finished my master's at Columbia University in New York. I got it in strategic communication. I kind of doubled up on the same thing I did at Howard. So yeah, and currently I am a content manager in Washington, DC. So I'm back in DC. Although getting a full-time job is a blessing and I'm so grateful, it is a transition because, you know, I've been a student my whole entire life. So now, you know, I'm finally into adulthood. Like, I'm in the real world. I've been avoiding it. As you can see, I got my master's. It's a huge transition. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's one thing to be in school and then the next thing is like, oh, you need a job and you need money and you need to pay all your loans back and you owe a lot. I feel like when I was at school, I was like, I knew I had loans and I knew I had real responsibilities on this other side, but I kept pushing it off. Like, okay, I was living my best life at Howard, living my best life at Columbia in New York. And it's just like, it's a way of avoiding responsibility. And now it's kind of like, okay, that's over. You need to figure out how to get your life together. I guess I can just walk through kind of like my educational journey and like how attending Howard and Columbia have helped me in my personal and professional life. If you went to Howard, you know how life-changing going to that school can be, just from developing who you are as a person. So it's like now that like I'm working and I'm in my adult life, I have this confidence about myself to really know that I can do anything and I'm capable and like whatever is out there is mine and I can get it. Columbia has helped me as well, you know. They say if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. And I truly feel like that's what Columbia gave me. Just being able to go to an Ivy League and be one of the few people in the world that go, and just surviving in New York. Because, you know, like when I first got to New York, I was scared. I'm not gonna lie, I was very, very scared. I don't know, I kind of romanticized it so much that when I got there, I'm like, oh shoot, like I really have anxiety right now because it's so much going on. Like I don't know how to catch the train. I don't know where I'm going. There's so many people. It's loud. There's rats. There's roaches. There's a crazy person literally right next to me asking me for money and I don't have any money to give. It's just a lot going on. So I feel like Howard and Columbia both gave me that strength. I had an internship when I was at Columbia, and I was thinking that I was going to have this internship be my full-time job, but that did not happen. But that's a lesson for you guys. I feel like when you're in school, don't assume that your internship is going to hire you, even though that's most of the time they do. But I've had people where that hasn't happened. Like I've had friends where like the internship didn't land them to the full-time job, and that's happened for me as well. So I would say always be applying. It's so much better to have so many more opportunities to pick from, because you don't want to just put all your eggs in one basket. And honestly, that's a mistake that I make, because when I want something, I'm like, oh, this is what I'm gonna get. No, you always should have multiple options, because even when it comes to leaving school, you can pick and negotiate and kind of see what job is best for you. You don't have to feel like you don't have anything or you're only working with one thing. So I would say definitely like mass apply while you're in school. Don't wait to the end like I did to mass apply. Okay. LinkedIn, Indeed, reach out everywhere. I got my job by applying on Indeed, and I know the job market is tough and it's very tough to get a job. But the honest advice I can say is while you're in school, you have to mix that in with doing your work. Like be applying, be researching, you know, all those things. So the question is, what were some of the most surprising things that you learned about yourself once you started working? I wouldn't say I learned anything surprising about myself, because I feel like I know myself very well. I just felt like it was a big shock for me, because I'm like, wow, like this is what my parents have been doing this whole time. This is what adults have been doing when they would be adulting. I'm not gonna lie, like I knew like people went to work, but I'm like, dang, like I really have to get up and go every day. I feel like there's some freedom that you have in college. Like, yes, you have to go to class, yes, you have to do your work, but it's just like there's more fun in college. There's more events. Like, I went to school in DC and New York. It's like, okay, I have a test, I have homework, but it's like I could be in the city right after. I could be with my friends. It's just the environment is very like fun. At work, it's not necessarily like that. I dread going to my job, but it's not fun. It's work. It's business. You know what I'm saying? You don't really have time for playing around or too much emotion. You just have to get the job done and you get your check. So that's something that you have to be prepared for. When you first entered the workforce, what was one of the biggest challenges you faced and how did you overcome it? I keep saying like the challenge is figuring out life. That's the challenge when you get into a job, figuring out your life, okay? Because I'm trying to build a schedule, right? I know I have to be at work. So it's like, how do I balance my work life with my personal life? And I feel like no one fully has that mastered. And it's a little bit more difficult to do when you have a job. So I think the biggest thing for me right now is making it a point to still live my life outside of work. Like, okay, I want to be able to go to work, but I also want to be able to hang out with my friends, and I want to work out, and I want time to relax, and I just want time to do things for my business. I have a makeup brand, or I want time to do content. It's just the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge is trying to figure out how to do everything you want when a big chunk of your time is working for a company. Like, how has networking helped me in making the transition from a student to a professional? I networked, don't get me wrong, I networked, but I don't feel like I was the student that networked as much as I could have. Like, I wasn't in the career center, I wasn't DMing people on LinkedIn, I wasn't doing anything. I feel like I was so secure in the fact that like I had the credentials to get the job. This is not to say that you should not network, because I have friends that have networked and because of who they know is how they got the job. The application got pushed through, like straight to HR, boom, you're hired. So like I recommend, like, if you know somebody, network and get them to get you through the door. I don't feel like I did that as much. Maybe I still have to practice that myself, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just the type of person to where it's like, networking is a little bit weird for me. It still is, because I feel like, all right, I'm talking to you because I want something from you that could benefit me, and it just feel like a little weird. And then I just feel like I'm confident in my own credentials. Like, all right, I have a bachelor's degree from Howard, I have a master's degree from Columbia. Like, what do you mean I can't get this? That's how I think. Like, it's not even to be like on some cocky stuff, but it's more so like, no, I did the work. I went to school. I spent all this money to get these degrees. I had the internship experience. I had these type of things. So it never was like I was looking for someone to push me forward, although you can skip a lot of steps if you know somebody. But no, like I got my job because I applied for it. No one pushed my resume through. I did my own resume. I didn't have anybody look at my resume, I'm not gonna lie. Like, mental health is one of those things for me, and I know for a lot of people it goes all the way down, nope, down, still down. The question is like, how do I prevent burnout, and how do I keep myself motivated when the workday is getting overwhelming? And I guess just how I cope with things like that. I talk to people. I don't like keep things in. So when I'm feeling stressed, or I'm feeling like I just need to talk to somebody, I just let it out, truthfully. I feel like when it's not in my body and I have released it in some way, I feel a lot lighter. You feel better when you talk to people and let things out versus when you walk around every day carrying that alone. Something about being alone as well, in my own space, my own comfort, not having to talk to nobody, look at anybody, really brings me like a strong sense of peace. Like, it's not even on some like antisocial, like leave me alone, but it's more so like I'm recharging and I feel so much better. It makes me happy to have my feet done. I don't want to look at my feet and they look crusty. Like, that's gonna make me more sad. So like, when my feet are done, when I'm doing things that make me happy, when I'm walking around Target and picking up lotion, it gives me a sense of like peace. You know when they say when boys play a game is equivalent to how girls feel when they shop in Target? It's just like peace. Like, I like looking through the aisles. I like going to Starbucks. I like going to Target. I like peace. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one thing that helps me the most when I'm stressed, is seeking ways I can find peace. Peace is better than money. I like going on the treadmill and just walking 20-30 minutes. It just, I don't know, like it just brings me back. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about is advice for students considering grad school. And I actually did get a comment on one of my older YouTube videos of someone asking me. So they said, can you do a video of your process for getting into Columbia from Howard? I have a similar story where I got into Howard University and decided on University of Maryland College Park based on financial matters. Definitely understand that because Howard is very expensive. And they said, I'm an architect major and looking into grad schools. Columbia is one of my top. Please share. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for leaving that comment. Her name is Tyra. Thank you, Tyra. So what was her question again? So my senior year, when I was at Howard, is when I started applying to get into Columbia. So the reason I want to let you guys know that one of the reasons why I also was looking at grad school was because for whatever reason, I was scared to go straight into the real world. The reason, it was like, wait, like I'm done with Howard. Like, I don't know. I don't have a job lined up. Like, what's next for me? Like, so that's a reason, like, I was considering getting my master's, because I was scared. Like, I knew another degree was beneficial for me, and I knew I didn't know what I wanted to do in the real world. And I knew I wanted to go to New York. So that's what happened. I'm like, I want to go to New York, like really bad. I've always wanted to live in New York ever since I was a little girl. Yeah, the only grad school I actually applied to was Columbia. And that was because they had a HBCU fellowship program. The program fully funds tuition and room and board. So I was like, okay, so if I get this, I'm going to be going to Columbia for free, living in New York. That did not happen. I am so grateful for, and it's just one of those things that you have to experience if you live in New York. It's just like I said, that toughness that you get from living there, that being able to be yourself and not care what anybody thinks, because no one else cares what you got on or nothing. Everybody's so locked in with their own day-to-day lives. So I'm grateful for the people I met in New York, for moving to New York for the short amount of time. I was there for a year because my grad program was only a year. But yeah, you know, the typical advice you would hear is just to have a great GPA, extracurriculars, test scores, yada, yada, yada. And then, of course, the essay questions and stuff. You just want to really you want to have a quality application. The more quality, the better. Anything that you feel like is valuable for someone to know, just put it in the application along with the test scores and the grades, because when someone's reviewing your application, like, they don't know who you are. So this is a time where you got to really kind of brag on yourself. You said that you got into Howard. So you got into Howard and you got into College Park. So I'm pretty sure, like, I know for a fact, if you got into Howard and University of Maryland, like, you're very smart. You have the grades, because I know if you got in those schools, you do. So I would say when you're applying to Columbia, keep you know, show that you have the good grades, but also show the extra things that you've done as well. I know you're gonna get in. Like, I know if this person's watching my video, they're gonna get in because you got into like 2 great schools. And I know if you're even thinking like, I want to go to Columbia, I want to go to an Ivy League, you're not BSing your way through school. Like, anybody that's thinking like that is doing a great job. I guess just being in your 20s and trying to figure out the next steps from school to work to life to whatever is just, how do I get everything I want right now? Even though I know that's not possible. It's just like, how do I feel secure in what I have until I'm able to get everything that I want? It's such a struggle. Like, I hope that makes sense, but it's like, you know, we are in a generation where we see everything. We see people have everything that we want, as far as, or at least it tricks us to think that we want it if we don't genuinely do. But we see people have cars. We see people have the money, the bags, the apartments, or just a way of living that we want to do. Sometimes I don't even think that we really want all these things. I know social media sometimes can trick you. I mean, sometimes you do want the thing. Sometimes it makes you think like, do I want it, or do I just want it because I see it? Like, do I really want flowers? Because no, I do want flowers. But That's not what I'm trying to say. Do I really want to do yoga? Or is it because I seen somebody make a TikTok and they made yoga look cool and cute and they made it all aesthetic, so now I want to do yoga? Like, do I really want to do that? I mean, whether you do or you don't, I feel like we live in a generation where we see too much and it's hard to lock in on, all right, what's best for me? What is best for my life? Because as much as people talk about how social media is fake or social media is toxic, positive, whatever the case may be, it's like we all can't shake the fact that we're always on it. And regardless of if you know the truth about social media or not, you're consuming this stuff every day, and it makes it a lot tougher. It makes it tough to come to decisions sometimes yourself because you have all this noise. My advice is to acknowledge that what you see on social media is 9 times out of 10 cap. I want to say 9.5. There may be some people that's not cap, but you know what I'm saying? Like, don't get so caught up in the luxury life that people portray, because underneath all that stuff you see is some real stuff going on. And I have been literally around to see things look nice and on social media and not be like that in real life. And I feel like it tricks us so much. Like, oh my gosh, it's not okay to be in my 20s living at home with my parents. By the way, I am. Because social media tells me I need to be in this nice luxury apartment that costs $3,000 a month. A lot of stuff doesn't make sense with our generation. And once you really sit back and reflect on, like, dang, a lot of this stuff even if you look at my videos, I don't have stuff figured out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm good at editing. I'm good at, making things look nice. Things are nice. Some things are nice, but not everything is nice. I'm not going to share the worst parts of my life on the internet, but like, keep that in mind when you look at content and social media. Like, things aren't real, and it's okay to do things that may not be glamorized on social media or romanticized, Like, of course there are things that you want for yourself, and goals that you have and that you want to reach, but just keep in mind that your life is your life and your path is your path, and you could talk to people about things, but ultimately you have to be able to make the decision about your life yourself, because at the end of the day, you are the only one that's going to walk in your shoes and have to deal with the consequences of things. I don't know if I'm kind of getting off topic, but it's just tying with everything. In our generation, it's so easy to feel like you're not on the right path or you're not where you should be. And it's like, I want to tell everybody that's watching this, you are exactly where you need to be. If you have any more questions, please feel free to leave them down below in the comments. I really want to start interacting more on YouTube with people. You can send me a DM, but even put it in the comments, because somebody else might have the question and everybody can see it. I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video, for tuning in. Sorry, I'm looking out the window, but yeah. Thank you so much for watching. Leave video ideas for me, topics, whatever. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much.